So that we are working very closely with haircuts and colours, also with styling products. We're going to be featuring products today from Lifestyling, from Milkshake, and also from No Inhibition. So let's get on with it. And I'm really excited and delighted to be bringing this haircut to you. So what we've got going on here with Jennifer right now is really a classic salon situation. How many of you out there can relate to what I'm about to say? Yes, I would like a change. Do sort of whatever you like, but leave my length. That's a famous one, isn't it? So here we are. We have that classic scenario. Thank you, Jennifer. So we have to find ways of creating interesting haircuts with good dynamics to suit longer hair also. So what we're going to work with today is the methodology with z.one-concept is really to work with angles and degrees. But we'll not look to get too complicated with that, because I know sometimes it kind of sets people back. But it's really quite straightforward. And we're going to be working with more of what we classically call a face framing technique, where we can introduce some shorter elements into the haircut but still maintain the maximum length. But what I'm going to share and will experience is what we call a forward graduation technique. I'll be bringing in some horizontal graduation also, and then some internal layering. So there's really quite a lot involved in the haircut. And it may be eye-opening for some of you with the approach of how we go about creating the face frame. Because classically, what I find in my travels and experiences is that often the hair is brought in a downward direction and turned in the hand to create the shape. Now the challenge with that is when you're bringing hair in a downward direction, you're bringing it to weight. So once you do the haircut, you style it, it often still looks very heavy around this area here, and then what happens is we're tempted to go in and we start to smash up the edge so it looks good when the client leaves or the guest leaves. But it's very difficult for them to maintain because you've taken away the structure of the haircut. Now, with this technique that I'm about to share, we can create a softer perimeter by using elevation. That's the key word. So what we're working on is diagonal back sections. I'll just show that to the camera. So your sectioning is very important. You have to be very clean with your sections, and also keep them very precise because it really does reflect on the overall haircut. So rather than bringing the hair in the downward direction, we're going to be keeping the hair elevated at a 90-degree angle from the head. I'll show it there with my comb. So all of the hair will be brought forward and will work from the shortest point to the longest point in between. Now, Jennifer has a fringe area that's growing out. So she's wishing to keep this as long as possible and have it blend in with the rest of the hair. So I'm going to use that as my guide point, and then we'll remove some of that excess weight in the center there and maintain the length. So let's get on with that. I'm going to make a very slight adjustment to my sectioning, and this is only for the first section. We're going to take out a slight triangle on this area here, which is the recession area. You can see what I've done there. Just tip your head forward slightly. A slight triangle there. The reason I do that is the recession area. Our hair is actually very fine in this part here, and that wouldn't give me a complete line when we move the hair forward. Okay? So I'll stand from the back. That way it's much easier for my great filming assistant here to help me out. Sharon, thank you. So you can see as I elevate, there is the guide point. You can see it here. I'm sure you might be able to pick that up if I hold that up higher. So that's the guide that we'll work from and we'll work to. So what's going to happen here is you'll see a little more hair just coming off at this point to bring it together. Remember, that was the growing out fringe area, but you'll see, because I'm moving the hair forward, it's maximizing the length that's happening here. So watch this. So I'll turn this slightly so we can really see the angle. So you can see the elevation coming forward towards that maximum length. So there's that little excess weight that's coming away from my model's hair, but at the same time, we're maintaining the perimeter length, which was the request. Okay. So there, so you bring that right through there. So now what we've technically created is what we call a C shape. Whereas if we brought it down and turned it in our fingers, we create a D shape, which is where the weight would sit. It's very, very important. And from there on, it's a repetitive motion where we'll work the hair through. Again, diagonal back sections. And we go all the way into the back area. And I'll spin this round just in 1 second again, so you can see the sectioning. So it's diagonal back all the way through. So now we've gone from the top of the head, the parting, all the way through to the nape of the neck. And we continue that each section, diagonal back. We keep bringing the hair forward till we run out of hair. Okay. Now I can show an extra technique here where if you're working also in the salon, you work to the opposite side. So I'll show you that version as well. So that way I'm showing you really the two key body positions that we really believe in with the mythology. So again, bringing all that hair forward, and then we turn it in our fingers so that we get the angle there. Okay. And then we'll bring that through. Now, as that's coming off, sometimes your clients are like, wow, that seemed like a lot of hair. But what we have to make sure that we convince them is that it's dropping right down into the length. It's the excess weight that's coming away. And Jennifer has a slight natural wave, kind of curl in her hair. This technique will encourage that wave to come through more naturally because we're releasing the weight in the right areas. So again, you'll see I'm coming right forward, over directing, and I'm coming right down to the perimeter length. So there you go. So does that convince you that your hair is still long? There you go. Awesome. And what that's doing is it's building more strength onto what was quite a fragile fringe area. You can see already we've built more hair onto that, so the whole thing is now connected and staying long. So keep those, come on, get those questions coming, people. We're looking forward to hearing from you out there, all you milkshake and no inhibition lovers. Okay, and we're going to continue. Again, I'll repeat, spin round, and you can see diagonal back sections each time. So each time you're really repeating, and it comes a little narrower as we get further into the back of the head. Okay. So again, we'll bring that hair forward. So now I'll switch back again, so you can see the other version where I stand from behind. Now, it's really optional to individuals, whatever is most comfortable for you. Certainly when you're doing anything like this, being filmed, or you're on a platform or a stage, it's a very strong advantage to be able to approach it this way, because you're not turning your back to the audience or to a camera. Okay, so working through, you'll notice the discipline. I hold every section exactly the same way to the same position each time. Because sometimes what happens is when you get with the longer hair in this area here, we sometimes see long pieces of hair and we're like, oh boy, that looks like a lot of hair. And then we're tempted to drop our hand, or we try and hide it away from the client. So you have to stay really true, stay consistent with this. Okay.
Brian, is there any way we can turn her right to the side so they can see kind of like a perfect side angle
absolutely.
of the angle you're coming out from her head?
Great call. So let me just repeat that section so you can see the angle. So we're projecting 90 degrees, but also it's very, very important that we stay inside the head shape, that we're not pulling the hair outwards and not too much this way. You saw when I stood on the other side, I brought the hair a little more over, but when we're standing from behind, we can bring the hair directly out. Let me just share that again. So there is the position. We're pulling that hair straight through, vertical fingers. So we keep our fingers vertical at all times. Okay, so I hope that the viewers can see that it's getting longer and longer. The further I come down the hair, I'm projecting the hair further away from myself. Now, when you work on the opposite side, if you've got really, really long hair, this is the better place to be because you can continue to bring that hair towards you. When you stand from behind, it's determined by the length of your arm. Otherwise, you're going to be crawling over the back of the seat, to get there. So, bringing it this way, fingers up, would work when you've got maybe much longer hair. But again, see, we're already starting to see that shape taking its position. Again, we're moving away from that point where, see, the hair has a lot more structure here now, and it's softer because you're elevating and you're creating graduation on the edge. Whereas when you pull hair down and turn it in your fingers, you're creating almost like a one length effect, and that's when we often have to go back in and texturize. And I really do believe, coming from a very classic background, that we rely an awful lot on texturing. It has a great place in our industry and what we do, but sometimes I think we have a risk of destroying the structure of the haircut. Okay, so now we're coming through. Now, do you notice now we're having less and less hair? I'll turn to the side again. Because we're coming further back on the head now, the hair has got further to travel to get to this point, so there's less and less hair because there's already a previous haircut in Jennifer's hair, obviously. Now, had she come in as a complete one-length client, you would still have very long pieces of hair. But I get the sense that we're beginning to run out now, because remember, look, this hair is going further and further. See? Very little hair there now to cut. Cool. This is probably, one of the reassuring techniques that we can share for mid-length to long hair, which I hope you agree is probably the majority of your clientele, within the salon environment. Okay, let's take that final section. Now, because Jennifer's hair is slightly off to the side, the last section, I'll spin it around, is right down into the nape of the neck, following her natural parting all the way through. And everything will be brought forward. I'm predicting this time that we probably will be not seeing very much hair, which will please the model no end, I can tell you. Okay, so there you go. Very, very last of it here. But it's very, very important for the balance of the haircut that you go all the way through. I have many, many times witnessed this haircut or this technique being implemented, but it seems to be only the front part that gets cut, and then some hairdressers leave the back completely. Well, that's not really a complete haircut for me. So you have to follow the technique. I think what's really important is understanding, as we said, the methodology and the technique behind it. So there, now you start to see that curved shape, very, very strong. And now, what was a short fringe almost looks like it's longer now, because you've started to blend this in. And my model, Jennifer's wish was to have her hair longer at the front. The one thing she said, I don't mind what you do, but I don't really want a short fringe. So right away, you adapt the technique to encourage that hair. So now it doesn't look like she's got a short fringe. It looks like her fringe is longer now. But she's still got the maximum length because it matches with the other side. And I haven't cut this side yet. Okay. Cool. All right. So I hope everybody's following along with this. The Z.one concept mythology and technique. All you milkshake and non-inhibition lovers. And also, I prepared Jennifer's hair using Moisture Plus shampoo, which is a shampoo that she actually uses also, which was great news. And carry on treating it with, of course, our famous leave-in conditioner. And if you're not aware or haven't picked up on the news, this reclaimed the title as the #1 product in 2019. This was the top seller in the top 10. So so great that I'm able to feature it, and we just keep that hair nourished. And those of you that know Moisture Plus know that you really get the hydration from Moisture Plus because of the organic papaya and also the hyaluronic acid. Cool.
Brian, we just have quite a few new people from when you started the other side. Can you explain how you parted for the recession?
Sure. Okay. Welcome all new people. Hi. Good. So there's a little tip that we can give. Thank you for that question. When you're taking a diagonal back section, which is what we're using for this technique all the way through, when you take the first section, let me show you what happens with certain heads and certain hairlines. And my model Jennifer here has really great hair, but she has a slightly weak recession area here. I hope everybody can see that if I'm turning that round. We often get like a little gap in here, which is nothing that she's doing, it's just the natural growth pattern of her hair. So a little tip that you can do is you can create a very small triangle up above and then bring it back down that way. And what that does is it fills in the hair there, and then we go diagonal back again. So you see the difference, it brings in the completed hair. So you're not thinking like you're joining a dot and a dot with a gap in the middle. It just makes it a lot easier for you. So good little tip, hopefully.
Thank you.
For that. Yeah, brilliant. Keep the questions coming. Yeah, so we're very, we're very positive. 2020 is again a great strong year. 2019 was awesome for Z.one North America. Our education network is getting stronger and stronger. We're in the middle of a brand new collection training as well right now, and we're very proud of that going on. And we have our art team members there facilitating the training, which is fantastic, doing a great job. So just to share with all our colleagues out there that we're very, very invested in our training and education, and of course that pleases me no end. Okay, so now you'll notice, sorry, I keep forgetting about my camera person. You have
It's okay.
My apologies.
I'll find your angles, don't worry.
What happens, you get in the zone. I think that's what happens. Right, so we're now working on the other side. Again, diagonal back, so let me repeat that again. Diagonal back. The reason we need diagonal back sections is we're projecting the hair forward. If we took a horizontal section, when you try to project it, it will twist on its way around. We need to have a flowing movement so that the hair moves off the head, inside the head shape, 90 degrees. Okay. Now, I can pick this up because I have a guide from the other side, so I pick up a very small amount of that hair there, and as I project it forward, can you see there? There is the guide. So it comes to my help, my assistance. So there, I'm standing from behind. So you'll notice that my fingers are in an upward position. The tips of my fingers are coming towards me, and the base of my fingers are going away, which means that the hair gets longer and longer. Very, very important that we're conscious of finger position, body position, your stance. So again, working through. So you'll notice that I'm going away from the head, which is ensuring that I'm keeping the hair longer towards the perimeter or the base, which is exactly where the clients or the guests always want to see it. And do you also notice that sometimes take kind of small sections? There's no great rush to do this. This is a precision haircut, okay? And we want to make sure that we get it really, really clean. So again, diagonal back section this time because we've come behind the ear, and I'd love to repeat that for anybody joining us. We take the sections straight down into the nape of the neck. Okay? So everything is projected forward 90 degrees inside of the head. If I show you what that means, it means as I project the hair is staying inside Jennifer's head shape. It's not coming out the way here. That would distort the graduation, and you'd lose the shape. It wouldn't be doing the same as the other side. Okay? So let me share from the opposite side, because I did that both ways. I'm showing you both kind of body positions. So this time, my fingers will be in a downward position, and the tips will come towards me. Okay? So it's the opposite of what I just did, because now I'm standing alongside, which is possibly the more favored position when you're in the salon. So then we're vertical fingers, tips are down, coming towards me, which means that the hair is traveling further because I'm bringing my fingers round. So can everybody see that? And we drop it there, and you instantly get that C shape instead of the D shape. Maybe I could repeat that again for those of you that have just joined us. Often what happens with this type of haircut, this type of shape, we get very tempted to hold the hair in a downward position and turn it in our fingers. Now, that creates a weight situation because you're bringing the hair in a downward direction. If you take hair in an upward direction, you take it shorter. When you remove weight. When you come down the way, you create weight. So it's perfectly logical that when it's right in the middle there, at 90 degrees is the ideal position for the technique that we're sharing right now. It's quite interesting when you break haircuts down, there can be really quite a lot involved. Again, I'll take that diagonal back. Looking good. So this time I'll stay from behind, I'll keep switching. I'm doing that to show you the different options. Please be aware of that. It's not, I hope it's not confusing in any way. But both ways are creating exactly the same haircut. It just shows you how you can adapt it depending on what's most comfortable for you as a stylist or your client. Client comfort has to be really an important issue. You want your clients to enjoy the experience. So right now, I have a perfectly well-behaved client. She's not on her phone. It's awesome, isn't it? You know what I'm talking about. Yeah. We used to have this grade and we used to say, would you like a good haircut or a great haircut? Which one do you think the client will choose? So they go for the great haircut, then you have all the avenue to say, well, you need to cooperate with me. So put your phone down, please. Okay, so moving on. So again, see, we're staying very, very consistent. That's part of the message. Now, as we're getting further back the hair on the head, you can see that there's less and less hair because of the previous internal layering that was inside Jennifer's previous haircut. So that's fine. But we still go through all the motions, just checking that shape, dropping that through. Again, you see, as the shape builds, you're building a stronger shape because you're bringing every section on top of the previous one.
Brian, we do have a question. Can this hair cut be done on dry hair as well?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. That's a great question. Can this be done on dry hair? Absolutely. I will share with you, there'll be many occasions when there's, maybe we're doing a stage show, myself and Gerard Caruso, my colleague who's there, was meant to be part of this, has been a little delayed. We're hoping he might come and join us for a few minutes. So, hi Gerard, thank you. I'll often have my model prepped in a smoother style and have the hair very sleek and silky and then cut it dry on stage because sometimes you're restricted by the amount of time that you have. So yes, that's a great question. Thank you for that. But please make sure you prepare the hair well though. You want that hair to be very silky, kind of iron it down so it's almost like a silk fabric and it will flow through your fingers when you're projecting it forward. Okay. So, keep those questions coming, people. Got to keep my brain active.
Brian, when you get to the nape of the neck, that hair, are you trying to pull it straight out from where it lies in the back, yeah, or does it get over directed up slightly for the length?
Great question. There we go. I'll spin my model right round and I'll kind of show you from this direction. So the question was, does that hair get lifted slightly? No, it's being brought forward from where it lives. Because if you do that, you're changing the dynamics of the graduation. Remember, if it's this way, it's heavy. If it's that way, you're taking more weight off. So it has to stay consistent. So really what you're doing is you're following the round of the head. And most heads that I've come across are of a round nature. haven't seen too many square heads. So we follow what we call the natural curvature of the head. That's again, that's a really great question. Let me show again on this side. So because I just did this section. So Jennifer, you just pop your head down slightly. There you go. So there would be the projection of the hair, like so. It's coming all the way forward, corner slightly, like that. Okay. So you can see how it's all flowing with the natural head shape. Okay. Try everybody that's taking any interest in this. Thank you. First of all, stay consistent. We want to avoid that, and we want to avoid that. Okay. Right. Awesome. All right. Spin you back around again. The model's going to be dizzy by the time I'm finished with her here.
I think she likes when you turn her backwards because she gets a smile break. She hasn't stopped smiling since we started.
This one. Yeah.
Her cheeks must be sore.
Cool. So again, see how that shape's beginning to come in naturally. And that's the great thing, when you work with method and technique where you're not carving a shape in, I'm really hoping that everybody's following this, where I was very defined with the way the sections are, the way you hold the hair. We're creating a shape. We're not carving it. We're creating it by cutting small straight lines that are on an angle. And all of a sudden it starts to fall into itself without you forcing it in any way. So what does that do for your client then? It makes life a lot easier for them to maintain their own hair at home. Because sometimes we can do the fandango, yeah, but the client can't always replicate that. So it's really, really important that we give them, easy to wear styles, but then they can come and have a treat using our fabulous products with great stylists and have a more glammed up look for an event or a party or whatever, or just because you want to, because you're fabulous. So, for me, it's all about the maintenance for the client as you get home, because we have wonderful products that help with that, whether they need to smooth it, make it curly, tame frizz, give it more volume. We have that covered between Lifestyling and No Inhibition. And I'm actually going to sort of blend those products together today. What we're looking to do is, I'll show a little bit of drying, not too much, then I'll finish Jennifer's hair in a little while, and then we'll post out some after pictures. Now, has anybody noticed where we started this haircut with the technique? Prize for somebody that says it live. There you go. See if anybody's listening.
You're pretty quiet.
Often what happens is, we're not aware, but we've tended to start the haircut often where you would finish a haircut. Because where do we start most haircuts?
In the back.
So what we've done by working the shape from the front is we've eliminated some excess weight on the inside, and then when you come to cut the base perimeter, you can probably do it in 2, maybe 3 sections, whereas if you start at the back, you'll probably do 5 or 6. So think about that as a little help when we're working with the perimeter shape. Now, there's a couple of little tips I would love to share, if that's okay with everybody out there. Okay, so let's do this first. Let's just bring Jennifer up slightly. Here we go. Going up. Lingerie department, going up. Okay, there we are. Right. Now, another little tip with the technique that I would love to share, because I think it has great value, is often when we cut a perimeter shape, although we're leaving the hair long, I will clean the shape up slightly because I haven't cut this part, so it would mean my haircut's not complete. We section it down the center, which is classic, and then we'll take our first section and we often cut across the center. I think that would be quite a commonly known phenomenon. Now, the challenge with that is that often right-handed people have a challenge here because we sometimes can lose a corner. It kind of rounds itself out for some reason. And it's all to do with your body position, because what happens is we tend to make a move when we need to get to this corner. Very hard for me to show you in the, with the camera. I'll just turn my back quickly. We would be here and then we go like this. We make that half move, and because of that, it tricks our brain to go round the corner. rather than staying perpendicular with the shape that you're creating. So let me share what can help with that. Okay, so we'll take the hair classically down through the center. I'll be able to do this in 2 sections, I can tell, because we've already removed some of the weight and the previous layering that was in there. So we'll turn this way, and we'll take our sections across. There we go. Now this is all part of the methodology and the technique. So a very, very gentle slope on the section. Okay? Because often what happens as well, we take sections that are very, what I used to call like a pyramid. I'm just going to move that out of the way for the moment. You know, where it's very high here and very low here. That will often trick us as well. We want to make sure that we've got a section that's almost going to replicate what we're going to be doing here. Okay? So let's drop that down. Now, I'll stand just to the side here because it will make it easier for the filming. What we're doing now, rather than going across the center, we'll go from the center out. And that way, we have a better chance of maintaining that line and not losing our corner. So you'll see, look at my finger position and my scissors, everything's staying very perpendicular. I put a very slight slope on it, because what happens naturally with hair, where the area behind the ear, it will always tend to dry up slightly more. So we compensate for that by putting that very, very slight angle, very gentle angle, nothing too severe. Okay, and that drops there. Now, what we do now, we bring the opposite side into play. We now have a guide, and this time we'll go to that guide from the outside. So it's kind of the opposite. If I pick that up there, actually let me do this. Sometimes I surprise myself. This will make life a lot easier because everybody will be able to see it now against the white. So as we bring this down, we now have a guide, and my fingers will remain perpendicular. Okay. Now I would be standing in the center here, working from side to side, using my knees, bending my knees very gently. Okay, and then that comes all the way out to the edge there. Okay, and immediately you can see you have a very strong, secure line. And then we'll bring the rest of the hair and drop that, and you'll see now, look, there'll be very, very little to join that. See? Because we'd already created a lot of the weight removal on the inside. So I follow through, see my fingers, I'm being very aware to compensate for the fact that I'm standing over here, which wouldn't be the natural body position. It's really good to be able to share that we come now, see, look, we come right out to the corner. I'm staying perpendicular, I'm not tempted to go round. This is what sometimes will happen. We think that we're holding the hair straight, we do this, and then boom, and that's your corner coming off. And unfortunately, when you do that, that removes a little extra length from that very front area here, which is where the clients always look for the length. I think everybody will probably agree with that one. So we're bringing this last section down. Wow, having fun here. Now, what I'll do is I'll switch over, and I'll come this way, okay? And then we'll clean up what's left. Not a huge amount of hair there now. And you'll see I'm coming out to this corner now, but remaining with perpendicular fingers and scissors. And you can see that little corner there was almost missing, so we're coming right out to it, so it maintains the length. Okay? So what happens then is when you push the hair forward, all that length is still exactly where it was. And all we've done is clean out the line on the inside. Wow, lots of information. I hope everybody's following this. It's been a while since I've been in the zone like this. This is fun. Okay. All right, now, once we've achieved that, there's often a little point inside. There's many ways we can go from here. If you've got a client with very, very thick hair and you want to reduce the thickness or collapse kind of the internal weight, we can build some internal layers. Or at this area here over the curve of the head, you'll tend to find when you elevate it, there'll be a little point, like a little pyramid. So let's have a look for that, see if there's one in there. Tends to be more when it's like a one length look, but I'll show you anyway. So we take a section right over the curvature of the head in the back here. Okay, and we're going to elevate this, so wait for it, to 135 degrees. Wow. Now what that is, it's that space between 90 and 180. So here's 180, right up to the ceiling, and here's 90 coming out from the head. So when we're following the curvature of the head, we come to 135, and sometimes you'll find these little scruffy pieces that are a little excess weight. It's not too obvious because of the original internal layering that was from the previous haircut, but we'll just go through the motions. There it is. You see from that short point to the short point there, everybody can see that. That is termed as excess weight. Okay. And that will help just to release that natural wave, and then I'll spin Jennifer the other way. So this time I'm on the opposite side, and we'll now replicate that on this side. And normally you find on the curvature of the head, beyond that, the hair won't reach. There'll be nothing really there. So we'll take this angle, see, 135, there it is. See, that's different to 180, see, because the hair falls away. Okay? So if you need to leave hair longer with your internal layers, you're going to change your projection to 180 and go right to the ceiling. And then it's the angle of your fingers that will determine that. And I'll share that with you internally, just so we can experience that. So let's spin her around again. I told you she's going to be dizzy at the end of all this. Might have to keep you sitting here for a while, Jennifer. Don't want you to stand up. Okay, so we're going to take what we call profile sections that run from the front to the back, and I'm on the opposite side. Okay? And we're going to project to 180. And watch what you'll see. You'll see the shape of the outside now on the inside, because we brought everything forward, so you're almost, in a sense, creating layers internally by elevating, and you'll see the angle? Very, very similar to the angle there. If we want to modify that slightly, we do 180, and then look, I change my finger position now, so my fingers are pointing up the way, which means it's going from shorter to longer. So that way we're maintaining that length on the inside also. And not removing, huge amounts of hair, but what it's doing is it's cleaning up the inside of what was the existing haircut. See, there's a little discrepancy there. There's that little triangle. So we take that off. And the good thing about this is it makes it, my haircut for my model. So you can feel it, rest assured that you've completed the whole look. All right, so then over to the opposite side, and nice and clean. This time, the points of my fingers will be coming down the way. It's the exact opposite. Can you see that little triangle again? There. Sometimes it's difficult against the black, but Sharon, maybe you can assure me that we can see it.
No, it's showing up quite well.
And thank you to my wonderful camera person today, Sharon, doing a great job. Thank you. So there we are. Okay, so that cleans up all that internal hair. I'll use my posh brush here, madam. I feel like a makeup artist now. Okay, there we go. Now, I'll share one other element, and then we'll share what we would recommend as products to style this. So you can see already that hair looking cool. Looking sexy, yeah? There you go. But I never had any worries saying that, because tell me, what client doesn't want to feel like that? And your hair can make such a huge difference to how you feel in your own personal day. And what we're noticing with a lot of looks is a lot of the clients or guests or whoever are wearing their hair looser, a little bit less kept looking, a little less contrived. So when you've got like this little wave going on here, and you can work that and make that hair look really, really kind of like you almost just got up type idea, which is always quite difficult to achieve, but it's really an awesome look. And then you can have it more, more styled for like an event. So One last internal piece to share with you. Now we can go with vertical sections around the head and project to that 135 degrees again. Watch this now. And then we'll hold it there, and we can almost just check it, but see it's all looking good. I'll just take a little piece there, take one more section here, just to show you that elevation position. Remember, 135 degrees. So we're taking that through, so we make sure we get all those loose ends that are on the inside. This is the key structure to this haircut, this look, this technique. Now remember, when you get a greater understanding of what we call method and technique, you can create any look, any trend, because you know where to map it, how to create the blueprint. And that's what's really, really important in the Z.one concept philosophy with cutting hair. It's thought out, it's mapped out, it's all about the why. You know, why are we doing what we're doing? The how is the how. We pick up our hair, we have our scissors, we open and close them, that's the how. But the why is crucial. Okay. So again, here we go. Taking that section up, 135. But can you see those internal lines are working really, really well because we did all that forward graduation. So you can almost say that I'm doing a form of you know, just checking through. We don't worry so much now about the cross-checking. I think it's much better to get through a technique and then revisit and you know, revise it if you need to. I'm old enough to have come from an era where cross-checking, we spent more time cross-checking than we did the actual haircut.
Oh,
because
absolutely.
It was kind of cruel. But you know what happened? We made ourselves find something, and then we cut it, and then we go, oh, why have I got a little hole in there? Or, you know, you almost created challenges for yourself. So the way it's Z.one concept, the way we move forward with our cutting philosophy is get through the technique, style it the way you would like to, and then, you know, revisit and, you know, revise it if you need to. Okay. So I hope everybody can kind of see the benefit of that hair cutting technique, how it transforms that shape. You're removing the weight from this area here, which is the crucial area, and maintaining the length. Now the client can maintain that by having the hair loose, they can blow dry it smooth, they can blow dry. What I would recommend is they bring it all forward and then they can push it back because you have all the graduation running through. But because we've got this looser wave, we want to encourage this kind of very natural look on the hair today. So the first product that I'm going to apply to the hair is our Lifestyling Curl Perfectionist, which is a beautiful cream. Let me show it as it comes out. Has a very silky feel to it, which is really awesome because it helps to tame down any unwanted frizz. And I do believe that Jennifer, my model here, does use this product. So we have a milkshake girl in the house here, so this is awesome. Thank you for loving milkshake. Okay, so we'll apply that through the hair. Make sure that we get it well applied, because sometimes when we take hair products, we go like this, don't we? And what does that do? We have to work the product into the hair, work it through, get the feel, you know, we're allowing the hair to kind of dry off slightly so that we can see what's happening with it, working up nicely. Okay.
Brian, I like how you started with the underneath of her hair with the hair product.
Yeah.
How you brought it through the underneath section
Yeah.
first, because that is where the most hair is.
Because this is where the hair would really absorb the most product on your hand. If we go here, we sometimes can overload the product on this area. You know, and thank you, Sharon, for that. Now we're going to go to No Inhibition and our very famous sea salt spray. Again, this is a real go-to product to, you know, to encourage that kind of beachy wave look. Just spray it in lightly. This creates again that kind of unkept look. Then what we'll be doing is diffusing the hair, and I'll show you briefly a little technique that I would use to diffuse so that we're we don't really wish to take Jennifer back to the 80s, and what was the famous term that we used to use? Scrunch. So we're tending to, what we do now, we tend to work the hair because the products are so much more gentle. For those of you out there that remember that era, it was as crunchy and hard as we could get it and as wide and as high. Yes? Like that shopping mall hair.
Mall bangs.
I'm sure there's a few people maybe nodding their heads out there. Yeah? Okay, and I'm going to apply like one more. I'm going to put some liquid styler on as well from Lifestyling, because again, this is a really beautiful product that is very, very good on naturally curly, wavy hair. Even left to dry into the hair. You can mix it with the Curl Perfectionist because they're all intermixable. This is a little more liquid, hence why it's called liquid styler. So it's very, very glossy and easy to apply into the hair. Okay? And it smells good as well. Ah, there you go. And wouldn't each of you agree that with Lifestyling and with No Inhibition, it's all about the sensorial experience. You know, when you do that, like I just did with Jennifer there, and she just sort of went, so that, you know, it's there. And you're already getting them happy about their hair. They're pleased, it's smelling good. You know, the whole kind of environment smells great. And it's something that we pride ourselves on from Milkshake, obviously, is that's one of our key factors, if you like. So, how's she looking? Wow. So that's good. Now she doesn't look like she's got a short fringe, correct?
Completely disappeared.
Sometimes I surprise myself. Okay, so now what we want to do, we'll take my fabulous Milkshake blow dryer that we do have, people. Which is great because guess what? The nozzles, or the directionals, or whatever you call them, they stay on because they're kind of clipped. So you just have to pop them to take them off. And then it has its own diffuser, which is brilliant because it clicks into place like that. How many times have you been drying hair and you do this? And you're like, oh, this is great, and all of a sudden it hits the client right off the head. It's happened to us, hasn't it? Yeah? Doesn't work. That doesn't happen with this because it's got little locking pins here that actually click it into place. So it's absolutely awesome. So I'm just going to keep it on a low. And what we tend to do now is we work the hair into the diffuser, like so, rather than scrunching with our hand, because what tends to happen is you run the risk of creating more frizziness by overworking the hair, which is what used to happen, like I said before. So we just work that gently, dropping the hair in, and it's very relaxing for the client also, because you're not kind of beating her up when you're trying to dry her hair. Awesome hair.
Brian, when you diffuse, do you always use low air?
You know, that's a great question. Do I always use low air? Generally not, and when you're in like a salon situation, you probably use it at like full speed. But what happens in this environment when we're filming is we'll be drowned out by the noise of the dryer. So a softer speed is good, and you know, we're not in any particular hurry. We don't have the next client coming in, so we could just take our time. And another good tip as well when you're diffusing is just to lift the hair gently, like so, and let it drop onto the diffuser, like so. So you're creating a much more aerated feel in the hair. So you see it's very gentle. Are you feeling quite relaxed at the moment? Very relaxed. Send her off to sleep now. There you go. So that's cool. So then again, just gently. And there is this situation if you want really a lot more volume, you can ask the client to tip their head forward. That's fine as well. I'm sure we're all aware of that technique. And then you can see I'm lifting the hair gently so that the air just pushes in and diffuses inside the hair like that, so that I'm not roughing the hair up too much. And this is immense hair, beautiful. It's got a beautiful head of hair. You know, why would I want to destroy that? I really want to get this look. A couple more minutes and then I'll I'll show you what else I would do. Cool. I want to thank each of you for if you've been staying with us. It's been an absolute joy to share some of our philosophy and our methods and techniques for Z.one concept hair cutting. And we'll be running lots of classes. There are going to be collection classes. A lot of the network are being in and they're being trained on the latest All Woman collection. That's the All Woman, OH. And sometimes in my accent it sounds like I'm saying old woman. So I'll make sure I correct that. Okay, so again, see, dropping the hair into the diffuser, just let it sit into there gently. Awesome. Because this hair is naturally very voluminous, so it's not like I need to create much more volume. It's beautiful hair on its own. So I would continue with that, but once we got it more to our completion, one of the really awesome products is our Strong Eco Spray from Lifestyling as well. For those of you that are not too familiar with this, it's a fantastic product to work with. It's more of a non-aerosol, and you pump it like so, and it's a very, very fine, like working spray, but it's got a reasonably good hold without making the hair sticky because of the quinoa proteins, which also help to preserve your hair color. For those of you who don't know that. And that's a great ingredient to have in a finishing product because it's kind of like the last product that you put on the hair. And those of you that live in those sunnier climates and hot climates, really excellent addition to the Lifestyling family to add in the quinoa proteins because they really do protect the hair. See that? And then we can give that hair that last, let's get those hairs up there, so you look fabulous. And then like push it up gently, like so, and then bring it round. Wow, you've got hair going on there, huh? I can tell from here, and I can't even see it from the front, but looking great. Okay, let's have a look at you. Oh wow. And that's it, not even completely dry, but I think you get the idea. And what we'll do when we close up the Facebook Live session, which will be right in a moment, I'll finish off Jennifer's hair and then we'll do a couple of after pictures and we'll post them on the Milkshake North America page so you can see the two looks. We did a before shot of her also with a little short fringe on the side there, and I think you'll really see the difference. So again, thank you so much for staying with us and enjoying, hopefully, some insight into the mythology and the techniques and methods behind Z.one concept hair cutting. So watch out for more, and we'll be back early March with the next session, so watch out for that. And once again, on behalf of Z.one Concept North America, Brian Grieve, Creative Director for Education. No, I'm not. I'm the Education Director, not the Creative Director. Oh, Freudian slip there. That's because I've got Gerard on my mind because he's not been able to make it. So Gerard is the Creative Director. Apologies he wasn't able to join us today, but hopefully I've managed to fill the time for everybody that stayed with us. And just keep loving the brands. Milkshake and No Inhibition. Thank you so much. See you soon. Bye.